evening and welcome to another episode of Late Night with Lenette. I'm Lenette Peterson, your host. I'm going to continue my saga with Maggie, our illustrious governor, and her foreign policy experience. This woman is dangerous. That's all I need to say. Let's see. It was a deserter, an alleged deserter who walked away from his post multiple times. And this gentleman's name is Bo Bergdahl, something like that. Well, he was released. Governor Hassan, now this is scary, actually said that his dedication and resilience represents the very best of all our service members. Really? He was a deserter. The union leader rightfully called Hassan's statement an embarrassment and the worst. I mean, really, Governor? Are you that clueless? A deserter is dedicated and is one of our top soldiers? Just say no to Maggie Hassan, no matter what office she's running for. This woman needs a new hobby. I have a special guest this evening, another small business owner. We've had a few small business owners the past month or so. I have John Paul, the founder of the Big Kahunas, and that's a catering and restaurant, correct?
Correct. And Lenette, thank you first for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, and being able to connect with the Merrimack community. So first, Big Kahunas, we'll be clear on that as well. My wife is the Big Kahuna. So she's, we're no downplaying that. She's absolutely brilliant at what she does, and her vision, her clarity, and just understanding for food, health, and really the love of all people.
Oh, cool. Now I got a question. The Big Kahunas, where did the name come from? Why the Big Kahuna? I mean, you think Hawaii when you think of Big Kahuna.
Yeah, and we do have a connection with Hawaii. I lived there for several years and really got to make some great friends and see the culture firsthand. We called it Kahunas because we have family that's strung throughout different islands across the world globally. The island of Java, the Caribbean, Southeast Asia. And we pull a lot of our recipes from ancient legacy of recipes, meaning the stuff that we're doing, you're not going to find in a cookbook. These are 500 years old, some of the techniques that we're doing. We really just appreciate where we come from, who we are, and we put that through with the food. And then moving forward with the food, what makes Kahunas so unique is we have an understanding that we're in a very sick world. This is a global issue. Globally, we're seeing that food is being forgotten about. Recipes are no longer being passed down from generation to generation. And we recognize this epidemic. My father-in-law just went to visit the island of Borneo and Java last year, where he grew up running around in the woods in the rainforest. It's no longer there. Family, everybody, young people, diabetes, all kinds of different symptoms, the cancers, these things that they weren't prevalent. This is something new. It's very scary. But also moving through to South America, moving into the islands of the Caribbean, there's more fast food restaurants popping up. There's less little shops around. So what we've done is, for us, cooking is a legacy. It's something that we're going to pass from our grandparents, from our parents to our children. And this is the difference. When you come into Kahunas, to our little cafe, what happens is you're being introduced with really the love of all people. Meaning, if you have a child that's been bullied for being different, if you've been to work and you feel like you're the odd one out, we welcome you because we're free thinkers, we're independent thought. It's really difficult, especially this time. If you look at the news, you see what's going on, it looks like we live in a world of Mad Max. We get caught up with a lot of the negativity. What we offer is a sanctuary. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what your political, religious background is. You come in, you're getting something to eat. It's more than just food. It's about reaching people on an emotional level, saying that you're not going to find a TV with the news on it. You're not going to find traditional literature. You're just going to find things that make you kind of go deeper, while enjoying something as simple as a sandwich, a salad, or a bowl.
Yeah, and some of your sandwiches are quite interesting. I happen to have a menu here. My oldest daughter frequents your place quite often. Now you have a lot of natural and health foods there. Not healthy foods, I should say.
Yeah, so the difference is, let's just start with, juicing. Juicing is very important. When you're learning to juice, what it is you're just extracting all of the fluid from the vegetables and the fruit that you desire, and you're drinking that. So you might be eating or consuming the juice of 3 carrots with some kale, maybe a little ginger and lemon. These are all things that are very good for you, that are anti-inflammatory, good for your stomach digestion. Then moving on to the smoothies that we do, and these are all limited selections. The smoothies that we do, one thing that's you're going to find different is we minimize the fillers. For the smoothies, it's just a little bit of ice, it's a little bit of coconut milk, and then you're getting a fresh, raw fruit and vegetable, which this is considered enough calories in there to be a meal supplement. And then just moving on to this, the basic things of the beef and the chicken, and when we run our specials with pork and other things. What makes it healthy is using the whole food, non-processed, and we use things a little different, like the herbs are going to be fresh. When we use salt, it's not an iodine salt, it's a sea salt, maximizing all your minerals. We talked about some of the desserts we do. We have these, it's a pure cocoa bar. So there's no milk chocolate, it's just a pure chocolate, the kind of chocolate that your grandparents would have had. Or you talk about World War II, when there was a chocolate epidemic in Europe. This is a pure chocolate, we melt it down, we put a very clean peanut butter in there, and it's something a little indulgent, but it's the cleanest you're gonna have on the indulgent side.
I had one of those, and oh my word. It's a good size, it's about this big, and I was only gonna eat half. There was no way I could save that. Oh my, I'm a peanut butter addict, and why eat milk chocolate when you can have dark chocolate? I'm a dark chocolate fiend, and that was good. That was good. You can tell it's loaded with protein, fresh peanut butter, good peanut butter. That was good.
Restaurants, it's a big responsibility when you enter food service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for us, there's an understanding. It was the 1700s when restaurants first started to be identified, not public eating places, but it was actual restaurants. And it started in France. And a restaurant, the word breaking down meant to restore, really to restore your health, to rejuvenate. So a lot of the restaurants, there are soup halls where they'd give you different, like a bone broth soup or a vegetable soup, things that people weren't able to keep. So this is how it started. 1920s, United States. It started off, again, when the restaurants really started to boom and there was a depression, they still had to have these restorative places that help people get better. Again, it was the soups. And then as time, the economy changed, the restaurant industry changed, and then, there's a lot of franchises that have been around for a long time, and there was a disconnect that's happened with marketing, quality of food, and the profit. That's the disconnect, and who suffers? We do. We suffer as a people. So what we do is we use organic produce. We try to locally source as much meat as we can. Our menu is designed that no matter what your dietary need is, if you have a gluten sensitivity, if you have diabetes, if you have leaky gut, it goes on and on. We have cancer survivors or people actively dying of cancer. They're able to come into the shop. We've been lucky enough to have a couple. We've had a couple big name athletes stop through the shop. We don't post the pictures and talk about the names because discretion for us. This is it's an escape. It's an oasis, and we intend to keep it that way for everybody swinging through. But the point is that for the menu, what we've done is we've eliminated all of the chemicals. It's just real food in a whole form. So if you're at home and we're hanging out together, and you say, I need to make a change in my life. Well, think about the changes you want to make in your life. And because we are designed as a human to consume a certain amount of calories, when you decide to make that change in your life, it doesn't matter if it's spiritually, financially, relationships, it all starts with food. It starts with the individual's relationship with food. And really, when you decide to make these changes, it's almost like going to a new religion with the understanding that when you decide to eat clean, there's going to be opportunities presented to you when you say, I can't have that. And when you're with a group of people and you say, I can't have that, you're met with opposition, or it's embarrassing, or you don't want to be rude and you're shamed into having something. We had a young girl that decided to go vegan for, she was a little overweight. She decided to go vegan, and she did really well. That kind of diet worked for her. When she was pressured into eating meat, she got very sick. Transitioning, talking about some of the staff that we have. Another thing that makes Kahunas so unique is our dedicated staff. We have a professional chef from Boston, drives up every single day. He's from the Caribbean, learned to cook from his grandmother. He's been a vegan almost his whole life. One day it was just for him. However, he learned how to cook meat and seafood through smell. And anybody that has been in the kitchen long enough, you just know. You know when something's done. You know when it's time to check that. We have a local girl, Bethany Bocciarelli, and she went to China when she was in high school. She learned about medicine, or Eastern medicine. She went on to UNH, just recently graduated with a degree in neuroscience. Again, she's with Kahunas because of our beliefs in food and changing and a holistic approach. We have a really incredible Manchester student. She's a young apprentice learning everything about the kitchen. When we do big events, this girl, 16-year-old girl, she hangs. When we do these events at some of the bigger venues, she's there with her clipboard and she's problem solving. She's making things happen, and it really is a disservice to young people when you think that they're not capable. And for us, our belief is, if you've ever had the opportunity to travel, you'll see a 12-year-old doing incredible things. A lot of us, we get that feeling like, well, you're a young kid, you don't know what you're doing. And Michelle, she's our high school student. She is proof that if you got your head on your shoulders, you're focused in school, you're trying to do the right thing, you're capable of anything. And then another one of our head chefs, my wife's father, from the island of Java. Really, really special story. This man was raised in Java, and he was learning how to hunt wild boar at the age of 9. On a full moon, the village would go out, and the men would go out, they would hunt. United States, they use dogs when the pig is shot. This boy would go out there and get the pig, and they'd cook for the village.
At 9 years old?
At 9 years old, he was doing
Wow.
this. At the age of 13 years old, he got on a cargo ship and traveled around the world. And he transitioned from being a teenager to a man on the seas. And one thing about his culture was, when you're before the age of puberty, before really reaching that age of like 13, 14, you usually are in the kitchen with a woman. And he had a very strong relationship with his mother. His father was taken POW by the Japanese, and it was really on the brothers in the family to make it work. And for him, his place was in the kitchen at that age. Transitioning from the 7 Seas and not really having a home anymore, he started working. He worked from being just a towel guy, a steward, becoming a manager of the floor of the dining hall. and learning how to speak English through American rock and roll music. And he ended up getting into the kitchen, working with these European fine chefs. And what he brought to the table with these guys was his ability to combine spices, or how to cook something just a little bit different. So he was learning from them the fine art of how the placement goes, of how things are presented. But what he was teaching them, these are ancient techniques of cooking, of using the spices just the right way. He ended up coming to the United States and marrying Amanda's mother, and Amanda's been in the kitchen since she was 9 years old.
Wow.
So.
Now, you mentioned a couple of big events. Now, you have a catering business as well, just not the restaurant here in Merrimack.
So Kahunas, we started as a catering business.
Up in Manchester, wasn't it?
In Manchester, and just in a very small little kitchen, and we did a lot of our cooking on site. Because we do more specialty foods and cooking, it's gotten us all over New England. New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Cape Cod. There's a couple islands off of Martha's Vineyard that we're going to be going to this spring. So our catering, it's exciting. And
sounds it. Wow.
Yeah, and it's always with the idea of when somebody reaches out to us and they ask, we live here, are we within distance? We would always say yes. So for people thinking about an offsite a wedding that's maybe far away, we'll go, understanding that there's going to be accommodations that need to be provided for us and the crew. But we will, if Kahunas is what you want, if you want a certain kind of style, a decor, food presentation, we're really the only ones in the area that do anything that we do. Doing things like using a lot of banana leaves.
Banana leaves?
Yeah, so we have banana leaves brought in a lot of our decorations. You can see the way that we work it. And these are all things, it's not just about decorations for us. We're honoring the food, and because we're honoring the food, we're honoring the host. This is our way. It's a very primitive way of thinking. The bottom line saying, we are so grateful that you wanted us, that you want to have this food. We want to show, we presented this. This is the food. And with that is this thank you. And we want to make this the best event that we can.
Wow, interesting. So now, what keeps you busy? Are you busiest with the catering and your wife handles the restaurant, or how does that work? Or do you do both?
We sway and bend.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah, we sway and bend. So the cafe has been really, it was an experiment. The catering is why we came to Merrimack. Merrimack, we were in the process of getting a facility built in Hooksett, and we met some wonderful people in Merrimack, and we found where the cafe is now, and we outfitted it out for our brides or for different corporate business, smaller meetings, or private tastings. The intention was not to come to Merrimack and open a cafe. What's happened is some of our bigger clients, the Fidelities, Nanocom, some of the bigger corporations, we do a lot of their lunches, and their employees were coming into Kahunas and they're wondering, hey, we had this sandwich, can we get that? No, you can't. we're as Bill Belichick said, we're on to the next event.
There you go.
So, but it was disappointing, because the worst feeling in the world is when somebody comes to you, specifically to you, and you have to turn them away. And then realizing that our catering is stable. That it's our website does good for us. We have a really strong following. They said we're all over the place with the catering. But what happens is, because you get so spread out, you don't get to have a connection with the people. And it's really important. Like, going back to the beginning of the show, we're talking about is a lot of sick people. And you drive down Merrimack and the DW Highway. There's a lot of pizza and sandwich shops. So
fast food has taken over.
yeah,
It's trying to anyway.
yeah, and it's there just should be other options.
And I think that's, I had talked about this on a different show. I had Choice Cuts on here last week, and we were talking about how there's so much additives in foods, the hormones they put in, things like that. They got to go somewhere. And we're polluting our bodies with this food. Fast food has got to be probably the worst. You got to produce that many burgers. What are they doing to keep the burgers fresh, if you can call them fresh? It's nice to actually find a place that has food that's not tainted.
Yeah, so whatever the food establishment is, restaurants, fast food, if you're disconnected from where the food is being sourced or where it's coming from, it's a disconnect. And I'm glad that you were able to touch on that last week with Choice Cuts. Incredible husband and wife team, and just full of knowledge. And I've been able to ask them questions in the past or problem solve with them. So Choice Cuts is definitely on the radar with Kahunas, and we're just very grateful to have them in the area as well. But yeah, so the things that what's happened in the United States is food, you have real food, whole foods, but then you have edible product. What is edible product? Well, we'll say, take a tomato. If you have a garden at home and you pluck your tomato and you put it on your counter, you maybe have 2 days with that tomato.
Right.
If you go to get a conventional tomato, you put it on your counter, you might get 2 weeks. Because even the bugs don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Even the bugs.
Yeah.
One thing that we do all of our sauces, our dressings, our meats, everything's done in-house. All of our baking, the chocolates that we make, everything, we do everything. So bacon is one thing that we do. And why do we do it? It was a call to a problem. Everybody loves bacon. You love bacon. However, when you get conventional bacon, they put that pink salt on it, the nitrates. The curing process of that, it takes about a day to 2 days. The meat is dehydrated, it's ready to go in the smoker. The natural process of curing meat is no less than 7 days.
Oh, wow.
No less than 7 days. So when you're getting that conventional bacon and you're digesting that edible product, you're curing your insides. And then here's the big part of it. You have your stomach. Your stomach is a filing system. It's really, your brain helps the functions, but your stomach is your secondary brain, because that's sending everything. It's filing it to all the places it needs to go. So what happens when you're putting this oversaturated, these chemicals in your body, the stomach has to say, where do I put this? And it gets confused. And when the stomach gets confused, inflammation starts to happen. Other diseases and illnesses start to happen. And as we can see, this is an epidemic. We have young kids now, they're going to school with a chocolate sandwich, with a chocolate milk, and a chocolate bar. We have teachers, we have a couple teachers in Merrimack and some teachers in Nashua that come and frequent us often, and we kind of get I don't know if it's a sad chuckle of when you hear some of the things that these children are going to school with. I wrote a short article on New Year's resolutions recently. It's very simple. When you're trying to lose weight or just make a change in your life, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to cut out this food group. I'm going to stop taking all these calories in. Just start by stop eating processed foods. Just cut it out. If you want to have a donut, make your own donut. And I guarantee you, after you spent the last 15 or 20 minutes making that donut, you eat half of it, it's going to be so dense and so filling, you're going to put it down, you're not going to want it anymore.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny, my husband, one of his first jobs was working at a Dunkin' Donuts. And this was back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they made their own donuts. Every Dunkin' Donuts store made their own. Now they're shipped in, and you can tell the difference. It's not a donut. It's full of additives, preservatives. They're nasty. People don't make their own stuff anymore.
Yeah, so the Dunkin' Donuts. Everybody loves Dunkin' Donuts, and
they were so much better before.
Yeah, everybody loves them. This is definitely a New England thing, and we have friends down in Texas. They're addicted to it too. And the point is that you're gonna have your Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, have it, but just know that's a decision you're making when there's other options, and the other options are you can go to a place and have a real bacon and a real egg. Do you want to have a breakfast sandwich? Well, wait the 3 minutes, and it's not just our establishment. There's a lot of places on the in here in Merrimack that do a wonderful breakfast because they're making it, and that's really what's important. Those are the certain things you just start to cut out. So cut out the processed foods.
Moderation is a big key to it.
Yeah. And you know what? And here's a real simple way to think about what is moderation. Moderation isn't so much about I'm only going to take this much and put it into my body. We got to flip it. We're so detached from nature, right? Really, what was moderation was I can't eat this much because my land can't sustain it. I can't have a big bird. I can't have all these things. It's just moderation. And the other one, movement. Just move your body. Go for a walk. Do something.
Yeah. We are just about the end of our show. Goes quick, doesn't it?
It does go very quick.
Potting shot. Last words.
Okay.
What's the best? If someone was coming in, what would be the best thing to order?
Everything. I tell you that right now. You want to have something hearty and heavy? Go for a cabo wrap, and that has the rice and our roast beef and peppers and onions and cheese. It's delicious. If you want something a little light, go with the California wrap, and it just has some mango and avocado, our house-made vinaigrette. And just the parting words I'd like to share with everybody is Kahunas is designed for everybody. Whatever you're going through, whoever you are, it's a sanctuary, it's a safe place. You don't have to worry about any kind of judgments. You don't have to worry about your dietary needs. We have you covered.
Well, I thank you for tuning in to another episode of Late Night with Lenette. Tune in next week for a different guest. Good night and God bless.